rolling. So, just in general, what would your advice be to someone who's aspiring to be a therapist?
Absolutely. So I would say, especially if you are in a graduate training program and you are learning to become a therapist, a marriage and family therapist in particular, I have a few ideas that would be helpful as trainees and future therapists. So I think one of the things is being really open to exploring our assumptions, our biases about, dysfunction, health, treatment, and just mental health and what that means, cross-culturally. So being able to really do a self-assessment of our own values and beliefs so that the way we see things doesn't hinder the process of healing for an individual or a couple or a family member or families that come through to our clinic or to your practice down the line. And then I think also being open to feedback from supervisors. So when supervisors provide alternate methods of intervention, or maybe just challenge you to think about the self of the therapist components or aspects of yourself, your perceptions, your beliefs, your potential biases or assumptions about the case, your feelings or frustrations with the case in particular. Being open to hearing what your supervisor sees and then going into that session and being able to utilize the feedback given. That tends to strengthen your skill set, sharpens your understanding of how we view clients and how we view change. Then I would say really just make sure you know that MMFT Code of Ethics handbook. There's a user's guide that you can buy online that's written by the MMFT organization, national organization, and really just knowing your state and local rules, laws, and regulations, and just being current on that so that you're operating ethically and within all legal expectations. I have a few more.
Go ahead. This is great.
I would also say remember the longevity of our professional relationships. So when you are coming into this program or you are working with a supervisor in the field to move towards your hours, those that are already in the profession, remember that that's going to be your professional MFT community. That's going to be your group of folks that, let's say you have a client and you are struggling and you want some consultation, you might want to look at your professional community for support, maybe engaging in events together or writing research papers or doing presentations, and to always maintain that professionalism even before you're licensed. So being respectful, being kind and considerate of your MFT community, and really representing yourself well. And also respecting the wisdom and advice and supervision that you're receiving from the MFT community, those that have already gotten their license and have walked before you. And then finally, my favorite thing, especially you'll learn how to do that here, but being able to engage in self-supervision. So if there's something that you really are just struggling with or trying to figure out how to treat, wow, this client is really having a particular issue, or this seems maybe above and beyond what I'm knowledgeable of, let me go seek that knowledge. Let me find out, what do you do when you have, this sort of presentation in a client? What's the treatment option for this? Or what's the treatment method for this client? Am I capable to treat that? Do I need to seek out additional training or consultation or supervision, to be able to help the client? Or is it as simple as maybe I just need to shift modalities from maybe emotion-focused therapy to, maybe another major theory or lens that may be more beneficial to the client. So engaging in that self-monitoring process of how am I doing in meeting these client needs, assessing them and treating them, and do I need to go find more information, via supervision or consultation, or just going back into the literature and finding out what the most current treatment approaches for the case that I'm treating and the issues that they're coming up with. And that'll strengthen your confidence in yourself, your self-efficacy, your belief in being able to solve problems, and it'll also legally and ethically help you to compartmentalize what you are able to treat and what is beyond your training and ability at that point. And then that's pretty much it.
Excellent. Okay, I'll pause it. We'll do it you mentioned in the process switching modalities if something maybe isn't working. What's your advice to an aspiring therapist in terms of how many modalities should we know, or should we maybe master one and dabble in others? What's your advice along those lines?
It's a great question. So the first task is really to learn core counseling skills. So that includes validation, reflection, interpretation, open-ended questions. There's more. There's a ton more.
Joining,
accommodating, a ton more,
yeah.
Right? But learn those first, because regardless of your particular mode or your theory, modality of treatment, or your theory or your approach, those core skills will help you stay connected with the client and help you to facilitate the process of therapy. So then really we go by what's evidence-based. So for example, if we know, let's say we have an individual client that is dealing with major depression, we know that cognitive behavioral therapy works very well to treat depression. We may search for, or we may utilize approaches that we know are best to treat that issue. Let's say we have a family coming in and they have high levels of enmeshment. You know, it's like they all sort of look and sound the same, and you know, they're all just sort of blending into each other rather than having their own distinct differences. Well, Bowen family therapy might be very good to treat that system and to help establish differentiation. Or maybe structural, you know, if we're looking at the structural hierarchy in the system. So the first step is know your core skills. Then I would say try to learn 3 or 4 really solid marriage and family therapy theories, and then some other theories like psychodynamic therapy, interpersonal therapy, cognitive behavioral, as a way to be able to switch modalities if you know that your client isn't really responding to that, not modality, but that form of treatment. So core counseling skills, then learn some really strong marriage and family therapy theories, postmodern and modern, so that will include our earlier, more classic theories like structural, contextual, Bowenian, and so on, and then more of the postmodern, like narrative therapy, solution-focused frameworks, and so on. And you don't have to learn everything, but try to get a good amount in while you're here in training so that you can decide for yourself what really speaks to you and which theory really works for you.
Okay, because I've been to like the Psychology Today website where the different therapists have their resumes basically, and it'll list 20 or 30 different modalities, and I'm thinking there's no way you can master all of those. Yeah.
Well, and you're right in that there are certain techniques or certain theories that you do need specialized training in. So emotion-focused therapy, EFT, is really big. You should go through different training steps, like the levels, I think it's levels 1 through 9 in order to be certified. We also have IFS, internal family systems, which you would need a specialization in, and you would need that background in training. Other things like cognitive behavioral therapy, you can get training in, but you also as easily can just learn the process through reading about cognitive behavioral and the general intervention techniques that you would use. So you're right. They may have an accumulation of knowledge, and they might have a growing, body of different tools in their toolkit. But I think the client will just need to be sure and certain that there are those certifications for the specialized approaches.
Got it. Great.